who Stanley Kubrick is? I mean, do you even exist? But anyways, he has made such good classics as 2001: A Space Odyssey and The Shining, and many more like Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket. So if you haven't seen his films, go watch them. Start off with 2001. You can watch all of them, but I like 2001. It gets you ready for his film style, I guess. But if you want a movie that's not silence slash breathing for about an hour, go watch The Shining. But that's got some quiet parts. But Stanley Kubrick has made some of the best and greatest films of all time. And yeah, that's what this video is about. It's about 2001: A Space Odyssey. Right now, first off, I'm just going to start off with a little bit of background information on the movie of 2001: A Space Odyssey. So, 2001 was directed by Stanley Kubrick, and it came out in 1968, which was 1 year prior to the Apollo 11 moon landing. Now, this is pretty huge because this movie has like tons of groundbreaking special effects that take place on the moon, other planets. It's just really good. Like those parts alone are huge and they look super well done. Now, that's also, funnily enough, one of the reasons why people believe that Kubrick helped to fake the moon landing. And it is also believed that because there's some things in The Shining, like 237 is the distance from Earth to the moon, which is actually wrong. And then people said, oh no, it's just what they believed it was in 1968, which is still wrong. So, I mean, that's all wrong. But, yeah, this movie it has some groundbreaking visual effects, and so now we'll move on to part 2, the story. The story takes place over a couple million years. It begins with the dawn of man scene, where they are just apes mostly, and then it progresses to the aliens finding a monolith, which in the opening of this video I used the VHS tape to actually represent that. So, yeah, and the monolith evolves the people when the sun and the moon overlap with the thing. So what it does is it creates like this noise, which you do hear later after I play the main theme, and you hear that after the sun overlaps with the moon over the monolith. So that part is pretty cool. And then an ape finds a bone and he kills things with it, and then it shows space. Now once we get to space, that is when we see a bunch, hold on, let me put that down. This is when we see a bunch of nuclear weapons or nuclear ships from all types of countries in the world. At least that's what they were originally meant to be by Kubrick, but NASA made him change it, and I think someone else did too. I think they kind of double teamed, which is kind of cheating, but that's what they did to get him to not have them as nuclear things, but they're still like that in the book. And then we have someone named Floyd who goes to the moon, or he goes to the moon after. He goes to a ship to give a briefing on what might have been dug up on the moon, and then after that, we see another team of people go to the moon. They see the monolith. It plays a high-pitched noise and sends a signal to Jupiter, and then we are on board of the Discovery 1. And we see Dr. David Bowman and Frank Poole on the ship, and they do stuff with HAL 9000, the computer, and then eventually he tries to kill Frank, and then after that he locks Dave outside of the Discovery. Then after that, he deactivates HAL after he gets back in, and then he continues heading to Jupiter, where we get one of the trippiest movie scenes ever made. I'll flash that on screen real fast. Yeah, I know. I don't even know what it is. And that was just a second. That was just a 10-second portion of a 10-minute long scene. And don't even get me started on the ending. Now, Dave, after that scene, he gets transported to a room where he then lives out the rest of his life and is then reincarnated as what is referred to by the people, the Star Child. And then he sees Earth, the puny Earth, in his new evolved state by the monolith, which he saw just before turning into the Star Child. Now that is the common theme with most theories in this movie, is that it is about pushing forward and evolving to our next state. But we don't really know this entirely. Most things about 2001 are just theories by the community of people who like the movie, including me, because of how cryptic this movie is. Like, you saw that scene, and I haven't even showed you the ending, but they are just insane. This movie is super cryptic. And it was also funded by NASA, so there could be some, there could be some little elements that were placed in there by NASA, but they were probably kept to a minor because Kubrick didn't have really any restraints on his movies. He wouldn't really go with the studio if they wouldn't give him unlimited reign with the movies. So they were made exactly his way. So that is another reason why most people love Kubrick's films, because of how much attention to detail and how much effort was put into them. Now back on track to what I was saying about the theory of evolving to our next form, is that in all three scenes that the monolith is present, it evolves man, right? So they go from the apes in the movie, and then they learn to become smart, right? Like the one, they're just all normal apes, but then after seeing the monolith later, when he comes across a pile of bones, he remembers his encounter with the monolith, and then grabs a bone, starts smashing some other bones, and then it cuts to, them putting bread on the table, killing animal pig things. No one really knows what they are. So then they become evolved, and then he throws the bone up in the air, and then it becomes a nuclear spaceship, right? So our modern day equivalent of bones is nuclear warheads. And then the next time we see it, it sends a signal to Jupiter, evolving us to go to other planets instead of just to our moons. It's sending us on a journey to branch out into our solar system. And then the last time, it evolves Dave to become the Star Child, which is the ultimate being. But the main thing is, it is also about being better than our technology. Now, like I said, this movie was made in 1968, and technology like HAL, which is an artificial intelligence in the movie, still doesn't really exist today in 2020. Neither does cryogenic sleep or going to other planets. Oh, jeez. Excuse me. Neither does going to other planets or colonies on the moon. That was just propaganda pushed by NASA because they were about to try to send people to the moon. So some of it wasn't entirely accurate, right? And was purposely made less accurate. So it's about being better than our technology and breaking out of the confines that it puts us in. Because in the movie, Dave and all the other people, technology's better than them, but they're not necessarily better than the technology. Everything was rapidly growing, and the technology kind of took over, and then we were always focused on making our technology better and not ourselves as people, which that applies way more today than it did in 1968, because of how much more technology we have and how much more consumed we are by it. Now, this movie isn't all sunshines and rainbows, or should I say, star children and nuclear warheads. It is, like, some parts are very boring, if I'm honest, especially for today. Back then, with all the visual effects and all that, it probably was like a modern day thriller, like Interstellar. But now it's not as much like that. It's like, I don't know. Some of it you can get through if you just take it all in. If you take all the information, all the stuff, and you just take it all in and just think, right? You have to just kind of think. Because there's about an hour of silence in this movie. The movie is 2.5 hours long. About an hour is silence. So 10 minutes at the start with the apes. Then throw in the music scenes, which add up to probably about like 5 minutes maybe. And then you add in the ending, which is another 10 minutes. So, and then you add in a bunch of moments where it's not complete silence, but it's just breathing, which is about another 10 minutes. And you just sprinkle in some more silence and super long parts with no dialogue. Just a couple more breathing. There's at least 2 of those that are like, one's 10 and one's 5. So you get about an hour of silence in total. And then the ending, which is another 5 minutes, that's complete silence too, besides some music near the end and some sound effects of glass breaking. But if you can take it all in and you can make it through, it is a you should definitely watch it. It is a really good movie. You should also watch Kubrick's other movies like Full Metal Jacket, Clockwork Orange, and The Shining. And you should also see Interstellar. I mentioned that when I was talking about thrillers. It is a super good movie, and I should probably make a review on it, but next review will probably be like Groundhog Day, Jaws, Back to the Future, something like that. So anyways, see you next time. Hope you enjoyed this video. Kind of different kind of video. Has a lot of editing and movie stuff in it, I guess. Anyways, so hope you enjoyed it. See ya.